Okay, well, if we take a look back into the history, right, we would find that, unlike other Southeast Asian countries, Thailand has never been colonized. So, for this reason, a lot of Thai cultures, right, are still present in Thailand, especially the original, like native Thai cultures. Uh, Different practices, like religious cultures, especially, considering 95% of Thais are Buddhist, and there have been these characteristics has been clearly reflected through the Thai culture very apparently. In the research paper that I've read, it's called Cultural Challenges in Thailand, an Unchanged Fact. The author takes a look at these difficulties of the Swedish executives who are trying to adapt to Thai cultures that stem from the Thai behaviors that's deeply rooted within the society. And some of the examples he mentioned, including the first one, is the concept of Greng Jai. So Greng Jai can be explained it as the behavior of having a polite attitude towards people, right? And towards people surrounding you in an attempt to try not to offend anyone. The concept of Greng Jai is an important part of Thai culture. As we can see, is often like avoiding conflict and confrontation, because Thai people tends to not really get themselves involved in heated situation like that, right? They often try to be Greng Jai most of the time, and this leads Thai people to not really expressing their opinions when they can be perceived as contrary to one another, in order to maintain a good relationship or in an attempt to do so. So the Greng Jai has become like some part of Thai behavior that people may or may not think about, but certainly they do it most of the time.
And another example of Thai culture is the country of smile. I think some of the foreigners already know this. The country of smile is regarded as the Thai people always being friendly and kind to each other. This expression also has its origin within the Buddhist region in the concept of Nam Chai, and Nam Chai is kind of like to be nice and be nice to each other. Nam Chai can also be explained as a guideline within the religion. It says that you should always be kind and helpful to each other without expecting anything in return.
For more information on Thai culture, another one is to be Samruam. Samruam is to mean another concept in Buddhist religion, which you should be restrained with your feeling according to the Samruam. You should never show anger or sadness in high context. This kind of high context express this feeling could lead to embarrassment and an uncomfortable situation. Another Thai culture is to be sabai. It is a well-known term in Thai culture. This can be described as a mentally, which means take it easy, do not stress, or to be a laid back. It's often described as a characteristic personality trait among Thai people, which contribute to impression of Thai people being trouble-free and contented.
So I think these five are like pretty interesting, right? And we see them all the time in the Thai society, and whether like to varying degrees, but we often see them, especially in different places that Thai people are in. And in another research paper that I've read on, which is the investigation to aspects of Thai culture and its impact on Thai students in International School of Thailand. It's a pretty long title. Okay. Anyway, the author explains that Thai society prizes harmony far more than the mere truth, right? It's the concept of, again, it's like Thai people tries to please others and tries to have a pleasing result rather than being direct and just like going very bluntly all the time. When they're trying to say something like that, although the truth is the fact, right? But sometimes it can be hurtful. They would try to avoid being hurtful. And this facts like the evasiveness towards the answer of Thai people underlies the concept of trying to like trying to not be uncomfortable in situation, which is like some really apparent characteristics of Thai people, in my opinion.
Yep, I have some more examples to add on. Okay. The Thai people often avoid saying no because in the Buddhist faith, it is considered an unpleasant to say no. Another example is that in general, Thai people consider their reputation as a very important aspect, which also originates from Buddhist religion. Okay, let us move to a different stage of Thai culture. The first one, which is the foundation of life in Thai culture, is a family culture. From the research, Thai people have more emphasis on family than in the average Western country. It is common that children are raised by their grandparents, aunts, or uncle rather than their own parents in the situation that the parents have to work far away from them. Also, elder brother or sister are expected to help little ones, which can be financially or housework like cooking or chores.
And another aspect is having meals together. It is kind of a strong family relationship in Thai culture, right? During dinner time, all the members will come together in the house and wait for every last person to come to get home before they start having meal together, which is a really interesting way of showing respect.
Additionally, respecting elder in the house is an important concept in Thailand. Younger ones should behave and listen to the elder, since Thai people believe that being grateful to elder who raised them will lead to a successful life.
From the foundation from family culture, they moving to education culture. In education culture of Thai people, high school starts at 8 o'clock in the morning with a morning assembly. However, some students may arrive at school as early as 6 o'clock in the morning because their parents have to drop them off early if they have to go to work next. School class will then start after the morning assembly until 3 p.m., with a lunch break at noon, a total of 6-hour class.
As for a rule in school, students are not allowed to wear shoes in school building. And when they pass a teacher, they must stop and let the teacher pass them first. In case that they need to pass teacher, students should bow their head when passing to show regard to the teacher.
And the evaluation in Thai school is like really the important thing, right? Because Thai seems to consider grades a lot, and students are usually ranked by their grades. And grades are also essential for entering university. So in a lot of times, we often see Thai parents especially being strict with their students' grades. And funny enough, in schools, they sometimes are graded by like Thai culture and behavioral scores as well, which is pretty interesting in Thai schools.
Yeah, that's it true.
In the Thai work culture, in Thailand, people generally give name on introduction after being referred with title. And business cards are regularly exchanged upon meeting with individual. The traditional way of card exchange is to pat them with a right hand. Additionally, the subordinate is introduced first. Punctuality in Thailand is somewhat flexible. However, it is polite to inform author if you are going to be late. In Thailand, business meetings are formal but polite. The workplace atmosphere is not rigid comparing to the other Eastern Asian countries. However, the hierarchy is rigid with a strict chain of command. The higher rank are the ones who make decisions and are relatively authoritarian. The more one respects and accompany Thai culture and tradition, the more acceptance one will get and vice versa. As in respect of manner, one should be very cautious when making negative comment about someone or criticizing them directly, since it is considered really rude for Thai person.
And promotion is generally based on seniority or time spent within the company, right? Those that have worked for a longer time in a certain company, or those who are generally of more seniority or older, are treated with more respect. And promotion is more often than not granted to them. It's heavily influenced by seniority.
Using Thai work culture, then look into the Thai culture with its international relation. Thai people usually develop a personal relationship with others before conducting businesses together. The reason behind this is Thai people want to check their partners, whether they are trustable and forming a long-term partnership. To maintain this long-term partnership, small gifts between partners are given occasionally.
Most of the time, the first meeting is to have a meal together and talk about business, idea, and personal questions. Asking personal questions may cause discomfort to other partners, but it is an important step to gain trust from Thai company. These personal questions usually about their family, age, hobby, and education. Therefore, Thai people expect their partner to be open-minded and can maintain long-term relationship.
And the organization also relates a lot to the international business, right? And it's heavily in accordance to the work culture here in Thailand. And it's a sensitive issue, in my opinion, and discussed amongst the high-level managers in these kinds of meetings.
So I have some tips for you when conducting businesses with Thai organization. First, business cards should be received with the right hand and address the person's first name on the card to show respect to them. Second is to be formal and punctual when having a business meeting.